Streaming started, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I think we got another minute to go. I think I'll take this time to briefly tell you what's in store. If you have missed it in your inbox, some of the events which we are doing it with Ponce Veterans, and some of the events which we are also doing on a startup series also supported by Ponce Veteran. The Thursday 29th of this month, success story of it was done. Srividya Ganesh, Director and CEO of Advanced Bolting Solutions Private Limited, which shared by Mr. Balraman. Again, success story, really you must listen how you can want to achieve something passionate you can achieve. Then on the Saturday, the 1st of May, we have a career success, balancing work and family. We have Asha Gopalakrishnan, Vice President, Finance and Beauty and Personal Care, Unilever, South Asia. She'll be talking to us. And the special invitee we have that evening is Mr. Ravi Shankar, CEO of Connect to Expert, and Mr. Balraman will be again chairing the session. Then on the 7th, Friday, again, interesting event, strategic patience, how India can rise to China challenge. We have an outstanding panelist, Ganesh Nadarajan, is the chairman of Global Talent, and he was also senior vice president former. Gautam Bambawale is a former Indian ambassador to China in Pakistan. Then Ajit Keshav Ranade is the president of chief economist of Aditya Birla Group. And Mr. Ajay Shah, research professor of business, Jindal Global University, will be joining this. Again, a great event. On the 12th, again, it's a Ponce Veteran startup series. We have one of the outstanding speakers joining us this evening, great achiever, Nitin Kamath, founder and CEO of Zerodha and Rain Matter, will be there. And Mr. Shankar, founder of CAMS and director of ACSY's Investment Limited, will be in fireside chat conversation with him. This Nitin Kamath will be an outstanding success story of individual, how he has reached 1,200 crore of turnover. And we have, again, number of other events lined up. You please see our website. You will know a number of events lined up in the month of May. Looking forward to seeing you on all the events, and each one of them are picked up and chosen exclusively for you during the difficult time. Coming to today's event, we are really indeed excited to present to you and yet another interesting event and thought-provoking event to focus on the brand and the world of women. We have one of the outstanding speakers who will be sharing her insights with you. Let me have the privilege of introducing the chairman for this session, Mr. Balraman, and the speaker for this evening, Mr. Mythili Chandrasekar. Let me have the privilege of introducing Brand of World and the Woman by Ms. Mythili Chandrasekar. And let me have the privilege of this again being organized under the support of Women Business Council of Madras Management Association. And let me briefly introduce Mr. Balraman. Mr. Balraman is an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, former MD of Ponce and former export director of Hindustan Lever, and also former chairman of CAMS and Footwear Design and Development Institute. Currently the director on the board of Delphi TVS Nippon, and also the past president of MMA, not 1-2 terms, and he's also a great mentor and supporter and advisor to MMA, because of which we are able to bring in some outstanding events, not only for the evening talks, and also some outstanding workshops and certificates we are able to do with the support of Ponce Veteran. Welcome to you, Mr. Balraman. Let me also have the privilege of introducing our distinguished speaker for this evening, Ms. Mythili Chandrasekar. Mythili Chandrasekar has over 35 years of customer behavior and brand strategy. Recently retired as a senior vice president, national planning director, Walter Thompson, India, and currently is a freelance strategy and research consultant. Work the number of cities across India, and his client include ITC, Unilever, Euromotor, Pepsi and Co, and among other cities. And we also have some special dignitaries invited this evening to interact with the speakers. We have Mr. Ravi Chandran, former managing director of TTK Prestige, will be there, and we also have a couple of others whom we invite will be joining us. Mr. Kannan Gopalakrishnan will also be joining us to interact and ask questions. Then we also invited Ms. D. Shivakumar from Aditya Birla Group may join us, and besides Ms. Kamala, head of marketing from CAM. We invite a couple of people so that make the interesting session. Now I request Mr. Balraman to introduce the subject and introduce the team. Over to you, Mr. Balraman.
Thank you, Vijay. I had known Mythili Chandrasekar from the days we as Ponce were working with J. Walter Thompson, their Chennai office. And Miss Mythili struck me from day one as someone who thinks deeply and understands three simultaneous subjects very well, which is the brand, the consumer, and the communication. These three essentially make up for all marketing that you can do in those days. Today, of course, you have the modern social media, but you still have to do all the three. That is the brand, consumer, and communication. And communication in the you need to know how to the language differs from conventional media. It's come to social media today. Ms. Mythili is someone for whom I have a lot of deep respect, and I have relied on her for building our brands. And she had done an outstanding job. And I'm not surprised that she grew to her, to senior VP level at strategy and creative marketing at J. Walter Thompson. When the Ford account for J. Walter Thompson moved to Delhi, they asked that the team, including Ms. Mythili Chandrasekar, be moved to Delhi so that they can be serviced well. So she went to Delhi. But we had still not lost touch because we have this deep respect and marketing connect with each other. And I was very keen that I should bring her to speak to our MMA audience, particularly women. As you know, our women business forum is focused on inspiring many women, many young women to take to careers and to startups. And we do that by showcasing successful examples such as Ms. Mythili Chandrasekar, who manage both family and the job and the business, all without letting any one thing down. She manages the enormous challenge, and her whole lifetime is an example that it can be done. It can be done well. I guess passion is the answer. Energy comes if you have passion. Now, may I invite Ms. Mythili to start telling us all about women and brands. In Pons, I used to say that my consumer is not the king for me, or she was the queen. All of Pons products were targeted to women. Indeed, most products, the most branded products, other than a few like cigarettes and fancy bikes and cars, maybe some liquor, are targeted to women. So women are the major target for consumer marketeers, branded marketeers. And let's see what special insights that Mythili is going to share with us that I have not already learned from her. Mythili.
Unmute yourself, madam, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Balraman. You have always been very generous with your appreciation and encouragement, and that has helped all of us. So, actually, in today's environment, brands are undergoing a major transformation. But for the purpose of this talk, since in the midst of a lot of strife, we have taken out time, just for some normalcy, and it's great that there are so many endeavors which allows us to learn something new from home. So for purposes of today evening, I'm going to take a very simple, very universal and very timeless approach to this topic. Let me share my screen. When Mr. Balraman asked me to give a talk, I was wondering first, what is it that I can talk about? And yes, I've been associated with the world of brands for 40 years, so I can talk about that. And of course, as a woman. So really the topic is something as simple as brands and women. Now it's easy, especially for people in the business of marketing, to write 40 slides. But we often tell ourselves that if you had only one post-it to tell your story, what would it be? So I have taken one very simple principle of brand building, and just so that you have one thing to remember at the end of today. And this is really about how brands find a voice, and what could I have learned about brands that not only helped my clients and my team and all of us build the brand, but what could I have learned about brands that allowed me to take out something for myself as a woman, which I could share with you. So the one thing I want to talk about today is what I call role and soul. Yeah. Brands as products have a role to play in our life, but brands that become really big and brands that connect with consumers are brands with a little bit of soul, which is a larger message that goes beyond the product category and which is about life itself and which touches us and inspires us in some way. And why is it important for brands not only to define their role, but to also have a soul? It's so that they grow. Yeah. As brand custodians, anything and everything we did had only one purpose: brand growth. Yeah. The only thing we are all interested in is to make the brand grow in the market. So define the role, evolve the soul so that your brands grow. What does this mean? This is simply about, role is about what I do, and soul is about who I am. Yeah. So let me go back to the brand Mr. Balraman started with, Pond's Dream Flower Talc. Yeah. What did Pond's Dream Flower Talc, what does it do? It basically fights odor control and gives you freshness. But who I am, we shaped the Pond's Dream Flower girl into becoming an icon of feminine empowerment and confidence, by shaping her as one of the first. Those days, working women was not such a big thing. So actually the Pond's Dream Flower woman was among the first women in advertising to be shown as stepping out to go and attend an interview and get a job in a man's world. So what I do is give you freshness after a bath and keep you fresh all day long. But who I am is a symbol of feminine empowerment, feminine confidence, and social confidence. Similarly, on the other hand, Pond's magic. What I do, while Dream Flower Talc, the pink tin, if you can remember, was about confidence, social confidence. Whereas the mauve tin was about romantic attraction. This one was freshness, this one was fragrance. This one was functional, this one was enhancement. This one was problem solution, this one was enhancement. So magic, what I do, I keep you fresh all day long. Who I am a symbol of romantic attraction. So you see the same product category. Two brands, two products become brands when you add a little bit of soul to the role of the product in your life. It's as simple and as difficult as that. Yeah. So yeah, role in moment. Let me take another Madras brand. Mr. Balraman mentioned Ford. At the time when Ford Icon was first launched, it had the best acceleration in its segment in the industry. Role in moment was to be the fastest car that gave you 0 to 60. Role in life was to be your Josh machine. Yeah. So the important thing is that this soul comes from some product truth. If that vehicle didn't have acceleration, they could not have said Josh. They could have said many things, and it's up to the brand custodians to pick a value. So if you think of these words, confidence, empowerment, romantic attraction, Josh, these words are what we call category agnostic. A shoe can give you Josh, a computer can give you Josh, a bike can give you Josh. So these are life values beyond the category that brands choose to go beyond the role and infuse some soul into the brand. So what I do and who I am, role in moment and role in life. Beyond the moment after the bath, beyond the moment when you start a car, what is the value that we can leave you with that will have some meaning in your life way beyond this product? That's how we thought of it, and that's how we start shaping these brands. It all goes back to a famous quote by Charles Revson, I think, who said, "We make lipstick in the factory, but sell hope in the shop." So we always ask this question of ourselves, what do you make in the factory, but what are you really selling? I'm not selling just a talcum powder, I'm selling feminine empowerment and feminine confidence. I'm not just selling a car, I'm selling the spirit of Josh. And that's how it goes, you know. We may make paint in the factory, but we sell imagination in the shop. Or we sell, you know, when the brand said, Har Ghar Kuch Kehta Hai, it was not just about the color of the wall, it was the expression that every family has. So we make paint in the factory, but we sell family expression and home expression in the shop. Yeah, so role and soul. Again, the product enables you. My last few years was with PepsiCo. So if I take some examples, we always say, you know, Pepsi, the cola. It's a cola which refreshes you. The product enables you to refresh the moment, to refresh your throat. There was Mountain Dew, which soothes a parched throat and cools you. But the brand Pepsi is a youthful soulmate. It's full of irreverence, and it partners youth in the way that they think. You know, there are many famous ideas that Pepsi came up with. Similarly, Mountain Dew. We make a lemon drink in the shop, but we sell the spirit of courage. We make a lemon drink in the factory, but we sell the spirit of courage in the shop. So every young man out there in small town India, when he picks up a bottle of dew, he actually feels he's a fearless guy, and a Mountain Dew symbolizes the spirit of courage. So a product enables, a brand inspires. A product gives you a role in moment, a brand gives you a role in life. A product has a role, a brand will have a soul. So product, role in life, and brand, soul. Actually, what I'm saying here is applicable to all brands. But since this is a predominantly women's forum that I've been invited to talk to, we will try to understand this with some examples of women's brands. Yeah. So, and I've taken some examples which are a little old because they're classic, and because I hope then everybody would have seen them. So, are you all familiar with Ariel? Can I hear some response? Anybody?
Hey, yes, if you know. I think they're muted.
Yeah.
They're muted.
All on mute. Okay. Do speak up in the middle if you want to. So, Ariel is about washing clothes. It enables you to clean your clothes. Role in the moment is to wash your laundry. But Ariel took it to broadly. I don't know how they define it in their internal things, but for the outside world, it was actually gender equality. By saying, is laundry only a woman's job? And so the thing is, the washing machine shares your load, but they actually opened it up and asked the husbands to share the load. Yeah? So the soul that they put into the brand was to make you think, to be a little provocative, and at the right time in society's evolution, to say, is laundry only a woman's job? They kind of provoked the man to think, and then they built on it year on year. Yeah, they then showed a mother teaching her son that he should also be involved in housework. They then, in year 3 or 4, they showed an elderly father who watches his daughter and then realizes that maybe he should have helped his wife too. So year on year, so what do? We pick something that is true to the category and to the product. And then we pick a life value and a human truth and something that is happening in the lives of the target audience that will bring extra meaning to their lives and will make them think and will inspire and will provoke some conversations. And, it's something, and you'll be sitting in your drawing room where people will say, that's exactly what happens in my house. Probably the wife will nudge the husband and say, did you see that? I hope you heard that. That's the kind of reaction and involvement we want. And if you notice, this is not done in any angry, aggressive, shrieking kind of tone. it's done with a lot of grace and dignity and quietly, it just makes the point with a lot of dignity. And basically what it went on to say, when you share the load, you actually multiply the love. So not just washing clothes, we don't just wash clothes, we provoke conversations on gender equality. Similarly, if you remember surf, for decades and decades, a good mother was a mother who kept her children clean. Yeah? Now, if Ariel took load and general washing, surf took stain removal. Yeah? And they turned the whole idea of a clean child on its head. Just when parenting norms were changing and mothers were beginning to question what kind of children they want to bring up, Surf came and said, dirt is good. Yeah. And again, if you see over the years, it showed a little boy getting dirty to help his sister, to help an underprivileged child in the neighborhood. And they kept building and building. And then they showed children actually helping underprivileged people of other faiths, helping older people, always for a little good beyond the home. Yeah. So again, it was about washing clothes, but the soul was, they provoked conversations of a certain kind of parenting, and that I don't just bring up a good child, I want to bring up a good citizen. Yeah. That's what they told the mother. Similarly, if you look at Tanishq over the years, of course, they have many brands and many lines of jewelry. But if you look at the wedding jewelry, now weddings are a traditional occasion. But what did they do? Year after year, they actually took, again, a slightly provocative stance about weddings. They talked about second weddings. They talked about interfaith weddings and did it very nicely. They brought in a grandmother who teased her granddaughter and said, why don't you, you may be a Punjabi, but if you had only married a Tamilian, you could have brought that kind of jewelry. So again, role in moment is to buy you wedding jewelry. Role in life is to encourage you to think of the new norms in weddings today. So again, role and soul. Products, there are many different, jewelry is just a product, but to make it a brand, you add some soul in it. A product enables, a brand inspires. One more example, skincare. At a time when cosmetic beauty and artificial beauty was on the rise. Again, Dove, again, they picked a product truth, because Dove was about clean and clear skin, and it was one part of moisturizing cream. They said actually that they went against cosmetic beauty and propagated real beauty, and said every woman is beautiful in her own way, however she looks and whatever body shape she has. Every woman should feel empowered, confident about her body, and feel beautiful about who she is, and not just how she is or what she looks like. Any questions till now?
Unless you unmute, you cannot.
Ravichandran, you're not able to unmute yourself?
Any questions?
Oh, yeah, I can unmute. I will just.
Maybe after your presentation, you would like to take the questions conversation. Yes.
I think questions can follow a little later.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, now if you just pull back and think about how did these brands build these ideas over a period of time, I'll give you 5 simple principles which we can then think about in your lives. Firstly, they picked a truth. They picked, if I remove stains better, you have to be first. You have to deliver on that product promise. You have to pick a product promise, a product truth. So we spend a lot of time actually what we call investigating the product truth. Yeah. And then you pick a human truth and you match the two. Product truth will give you role. Human truth will add soul to the product. Human truth is what will turn the product into a brand. So pick a truth first, on which you add a point of view. The human, so I have a point of view on parenting. I have a point of view on women and their household duties. I have a point of view on beauty. Obviously, it has to be a point of view on something to do with your category. So Raymond's took a point of view on man, on what it is to be masculine, and said complete man, that a man can also be sensitive and he can also show his feminine side. So pick a product truth, pick a human truth, and have the guts to have a point of view. If it goes a little against societal norms, or if it picks a trend that is just beginning, then you're in a very good place, because then you can take the consumers with you. Then tone of voice, especially when you're talking to women, if you notice, it's not critical of how women are. It is not aggressive. It is not, full of hoisting flags. It makes the point very quietly, but with grace, dignity, but very, very firmly. So, and of course, I mean, some brands have a humorous tone of voice. Some brands have an aggressive tone of voice. If that suits them, and if that suits that product and that target group, why not? But it's important to shape that tone of voice and to stick to it. That's what brand building is. And then to have an ecosystem. The brand belongs to the manufacturer and the marketer. But there are brand custodians like the agencies that we work with, that are filmmakers who make the communication on the brand. There are your public relations people. There are a whole lot of people, outside stakeholders, that a key brand team brings into there are media people. And so it's important to have this ecosystem, and this entire ecosystem must buy into this truth, must agree with this point of view, and must very strictly follow this tone of voice. So an ecosystem is important. And lastly, consistency. Brands that if you pick a human truth and a point of view, which is about life and which is based on a trend that is just starting, in all probability, you'll be able to run it for 5, even 10 years. And if you stick to that tone of voice, then you can build the brand with consistency. Then consumers know what to expect from your brand. And, then it all adds up, because not everybody is sitting in the drawing room with pen and paper, waiting to see what the ad is saying. And it's the whole thing. It's not just the ad. It's what kind of programs you sponsor, what you do on social media, what kind of content you create, what you write at the back of the pack, what kind of promos you give. All of that needs to be consistent with the tone of voice and talk to the same product truth and the same human truth. This then is the world of brand building as we know it. Now, role and soul. If we have to role and soul for growth, right? If we have to bring this idea to the world of women, does it apply, and how does it apply? Think about it. Yeah. Historically, women, and rightly so, we have thought we are first daughters, then maybe girlfriends, then we become partners nowadays, then we may become a wife, we may become a mother, a grandmother, a mother-in-law, whatever. These roles are very important. That's what shapes us, and we love these roles and we enjoy these roles. What has increasingly become the point I want to make, the daughter, wife, mother also is very much part of the soul. But to think of ourselves as women beyond over and above these roles, not instead of. If you remember all those products, none of those soul creating or life value adding propositions were instead of the product value. They were on top of and in addition to, and in fact sprung from the product truth. So to go beyond these roles and to think of ourselves as women so that we grow. What happens? We grow in a unique way, the fourth dimension or the fifth dimension, and that growth of us as women actually ends up adding back to the many roles we play. The roles that we play help shape us become the women that we are. And if we devote a little time and energy to building ourselves as women beyond these roles, we actually end up enhancing the roles that we play. That's the fundamental point I want to make, bringing together the world of brands and women. Mr. Balraman said that he'd like me to share some thoughts about my work life. So yes, this is not so much advice, but perspectives. Yeah, I started working exactly 40 years ago. And at that time, working was not taken for granted. And I'm not even saying that working is the only way to nurture the woman in you, but it largely is. Today, a woman can daughter, wife, mother, but very automatically, at least to large sections of the population, you can put anything from doctor, lawyer, to astronaut, to bus driver, to Anganwadi worker, to anything. It is something that takes you beyond the role so that you grow. Yeah. So what do we have to do in this? The first thing is, like the products found their truth, we have to find our passion, and it can be anything. It can be gardening, it can be bird watching, it can be cooking. But if you want to be a lawyer, you better be passionate about the cause of justice. Yeah. And every woman and man, everybody has some talent and some skill. So if you can, I thought it was writing when I started my work life, and I was interested in communication. The world of advertising and branding attracted me. Communication really was my passion. If you have a skill and a talent, and in that line of passion, if you can find a line of work, and on top of it, if you can earn, then really half the problem is solved and life becomes quite easy. Yeah, so find your passion first. And yes, as I said, so one of the things for me, because for example, for 10 years after my child was born, I decided to work part-time, and Mr. Balraman knows this very well. Even if I was in a meeting with the managing director at Ponds, I would say, I have to pick my son up from school and leave the meeting. But what I told myself was, I will chase work, career will happen. Yeah? Because if you decide you're chasing career, then you tend to get caught up in the race and in the designation and in the promotion and in the money. If you focus on the work, everything comes automatically. Yeah, you have to be passionate about the work and focus, chase the work, chase the work. The second thing was, end of the day, balance is important, whether you're man or woman. Yeah, and the thing about balance is, to each his own. Everybody's heart is different. Everyone needs to find their own balance, and this balance changes over the years. In one decade, the balance may be a little more home. In some other decade or some other set of circumstances may actually allow you to spend more time and energy on your work. The thing about balance is, we have to make these choices and decisions and not question them every day. You have to be proud and confident of the choices that we make and go with it, let it flow. But figure out your balance and work out your balance. The third thing is to turn your limitations to advantages. For example, much of my career was in Chennai, and in those days, and it still is, I'm afraid, that for the world of marketing, Chennai was never seen as the best place to be. It was always Bombay or Delhi. But I found, and my organization helped me, and my bosses helped me to turn that limitation into an advantage. So, for example, I became the leader of innovations, though I was based in Chennai. I asked for, you have to ask. I asked for and was given opportunities to work with clients in other cities. Those days you had to travel, now you don't even have to do that. So yeah, I was the lead on innovation. I managed to work on brands that belonged to other cities. Um, I found interests of my own, which would also be of interest to the organization, and then develop those interests. So there are always ways to turn limitations to advantages. Nowadays, even more so. Yeah. So that's the third principle. The fourth was constant growth. Yeah. Every year, I would ask myself, so what next? What is this year going to be about? If the organization was interested in training, I would offer to do the training. So one year, I create training content. Another year, I told myself, somehow this year, I'm going to go and teach in an IIM. Yeah. Another year, I told myself, okay, we have a lot of industry awards. So one year, I requested that, I tried to get into the judging. If you're senior enough, you can become a judge. Another year, I told myself, okay, I've judged in India. This year, I'm going to try and be a judge in a international jury. So every year, and so also on the home front. Now, after retiring, for example, after the first year of retirement, I decided to write a little. I taught a course in a subject that I've never taught, and I decided to learn tarot reading. Yeah, that's growth of a different kind. In the second year, I thought, let me understand what is this pranic healing all about. This year, I'm just looking into a little bit of Sanskrit. So keep growing, at home, whether it's with your child, whether it's even in the house. What can I do with my children this year that will help them grow and will help me grow? What can I do in my career this year? What can I do outside of my career? Just a life interest. And the thing is, everything adds back. Everything helps you work better. Everything becomes an advantage. Everything teaches you balance, and you grow. You grow mentally, you grow professionally, you grow emotionally, you grow spiritually. And lastly, just like brands had ecosystems, we need support groups. Again, today's support groups are very ubiquitous. You just have to go and put a post in Facebook, and you can crowdsource encouragement, you can crowdsource sympathy, you can crowdsource appreciation. It was not so 30 years ago. Of course, we had our families, we had our husband, we had our parents who supported us. For women, I think friends, I grew up in an apartment complex where a group of women supported each other, looking after our children. One day, if you're late in receiving your child from the school bus, somebody will help you. Some other woman wants to go and do a course. Somebody will, take care of her child on a Saturday. And not just physical support, emotional support, advice. Somebody to tell you, it's okay, it's just a small problem, it will go away, keep going, we are there. Yeah. So, and in your office as well, professional sisterhood. I had some amazing women colleagues throughout my career, who were a great source of emotional support. So chase the work, find your balance, find your passion, find your balance, turn limitations to advantages, keep growing, and always, always have support groups. So that's what I have to share with you today. To close, I thought I'll just leave you with some fantastic quotes, some favorite quotes of mine that great women have said. Here's the first one. Eleanor Roosevelt. Well-behaved women rarely make history. Yeah. So you don't have to be perfect and polite all the time. It's okay once in a way to get a little angry, to cry a little, to throw a little tantrum. It's okay. Well-behaved women rarely make history. Don't be too harsh on yourself, you know. Here's another one. A woman is like a tea bag. You never know how strong she is until she gets into hot water. Anybody puts you into, you know that you will, the stronger the wind, the stronger the timber. Yeah. At what seems like a problem then, definitely when the problem passes, you definitely think, but for that I wouldn't have grown. You know? That's what I mean. That's what finally life is all about. Behind every successful woman is a team, is a whole lot of other successful women, you know. So draw inspiration, reach out to people, ask for mentorship, ask for emotional support. Each time a woman stands up for herself without knowing it possibly and without claiming it, she stands up for all women. So every little that every woman does really contributes to the larger cause. Yeah? And finally, this lovely quote, which again, it goes back to my point on you don't have to be necessarily aggressive. You need women who are so strong, they can be gentle. Yeah, there is strength in gentleness and gentleness in strength. So educated, they can be humble. So fierce, they can be compassionate. There's nothing we need more than compassion. So passionate, they can be rational, and so disciplined that they can be free. And finally, really, this is something I believe in a big way. I'm a sucker for self-help books and positive thinking books. Think positive, wish strongly, send your wish out into the world, and trust the universe to make it come true. Thank you, everyone. I'm open to questions.
Ravichandran and Kannan Gopalakrishnan, can you initiate a conversation, because people take a little time to write out their questions or raise their hands. Group captain, how are you encouraging people, showing you that they want to ask a question?
One is we are getting the question in the chat box, which is thing. We're also getting the question from YouTube and Facebook, which I already got a couple of them with me actually. And after the conversation with the special invitees, if time permits, we can take on those questions.
Yeah, there is time. Yeah. This is supposed to be an engagement for Ms. Mythili Chandrasekar with the audience.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your stories from the men as well. Not just
also, as Ms. Kamala, you are online. Camps.
Yeah, just another small point. As I said, these principles are very true for men as well. You know, but I have just applied it to women because it has worked for me.
Our focus is also, we think that there are 600 million women in India. If they start contributing to, the gross national product, where India can grow. So we want to inspire them. We want to encourage them. I mean, we feel they are hesitant. They are hesitant because they feel that they should not be doing a few things. That's not true at all. They should be doing everything that a man does and more. So. Ravichandran, do you want to go or?
Yeah, thanks, Bhaga. Ms. Mythili, that was a wonderful presentation that you made using just Post-it. Beautiful way of depicting concepts and points. Very well done. Thank you. I'm the richer for that. I'm going to ask probably a provocative question.
Okay.
What you're saying, it applies universally to men and women, and it's great. But you look at the communication industry, you look at what you try to portray as role and soul. There is a darker side that is there also in the same communication.
Yes.
The objectification or the likability that is imposed on women in any situation, likability quotient, an expectation which is much more than what men need to bring to the table. And how those should be combated, because when you present it, there is also the equal side that the society has to combat by doing things in your communication, in your agency work, in your life, in your day-to-day. So how do we combat? What has been your experiences in combating such negative, darker side of role and soul fits that you have seen?
Yeah, so if you're talking about how some communication continues to objectify, that's very true. Change has just started and there's a long way to go. If you're talking about in life, was that your larger question? How women can combat?
Since you took the communication and advertising as a thing, I took it, but I would like you to expand also to the life, because I think a larger audience here would also like to hear from you on that.
Yeah. See, as far as communication is concerned, long way to go. But I think more and more consumers will not accept you if you objectify. You know, so brands will have to change their tone, and it has begun. If you look at over the last 20 years at least, definitely there is a lot of change, and a lot of not just women's brands, even unisex brands, even men's brands are beginning to finance brands, brands that appeal which is not just about washing clothes or masala. Even those brands are beginning to talk to women respectfully, because women are also becoming better spenders and they also have money. So that will happen. It will take time. Brand custodians need to become a lot more conscious, and it works both ways. The more society demands that of brand custodians will create better communication. The more communication favorable to women custodians create, the more consumers will. When it comes to life, I think one step at a time. It is an uphill task even today. One step at a time. We have to look for where we get support from. And we have to believe in ourselves, go out and get that support, not get disheartened, but just keep trying. And also start in a small way, do what you can, do it now and do it when you can. So what you can, when you can, however you can, with whomever you can. The idea, I think the principle is to say, I think I can. And to keep going and to not give up and to look for support and to ask for it. I think women hesitate to ask for support, and they tend to apologize when they do something for themselves. You know, we apologize at home and we apologize in the office. You have to stop being apologetic. You have to believe that this is as important to us and as important to the family and to society that we do this and keep going. I think beyond this, one can only give one-on-one situation-specific advice.
I know. No, I think that's a wonderful answer. The second question, I'll wait for the second question and let the floor be open to others who want to equally pick your brain on this wonderful topic that they have chosen for you.
Somebody has raised their hand.
Mr. Kannan would like to.
Yeah, let me. Ravi, that was an awesome question, but more importantly, Mythili, that was a fantastic presentation. I think the complex subject of communicating and brands, I think you've simplified. And especially for marketing people, we like to make things complex, and I think you made it really simple by talking about role and soul. And I think, the last quote by Kavita Ramadan, I didn't get the full name, but that I think was equally applicable to what you did. I think the complex subject of marketing you simplified in a very effective manner. Thanks for that. I wanted to, go back to, you've been a fantastic role model as a woman 40 years ago. And I think you seem to have actually managed to get a few things done that even some men couldn't get to do, which is to figure out, what they wanted and actually get their organizations and not just their organizations, but even their clients to support
in the way you do it. I'm sure that would be a great experience, especially for youngsters who are getting into the complex world of business. That was one part I thought maybe you want to elaborate a little bit further. And I think linked to it, my own take on this whole thing around role and soul that you are, I think you probably kind of did not want to bucket yourself into role A or role B or role, as in define yourself that the world would have liked to define you, but you had your own clarity on what your soul was, and hence you brought your soul to the multiple roles. Because I think the problem I see is that sometimes we define ourselves into A or B or C, and then you kind of after a while start living up to that definition that either you've given yourself or somebody has given you, and then you start accepting it. But you seem to have managed to break out of that.
Yeah. Sure. No, firstly, I had a lot of support at home from my husband and family. My organization was fantastic. Absolutely. I had the best bosses who never said no to anything that I wanted to try, as long as I didn't ask them for too much money and too much investment. But even that, I found that if you asked with a lot of passion, then you have to make it difficult for them to say no. If it is something that is likely to be of value to the organization, and if it is something that nobody else in the organization is offering to do, because a lot of this comes from over and beyond the client work. So if you ask for it with passion, if it is going to be of use to the organization, and often it was a night job, it's not necessarily something you can fit into the 9 to 5 thing. Again, as I said, limitation and advantage. For 10 years, my organization helped me to work part-time. But then I turned that into an advantage and started doing other things to help the organization. So you have to make them, people actually started saying, because she does part-time, she's able to do these extra things. It's okay, let anybody say what they want. So yeah, get good ideas that is of value to the organization, that not many other people in the organization are offering to do. Do it with a lot of passion, and again, ask for support. And it always came. Yeah, that's as far as the organization is concerned. Yeah, and I think the other trick was for me, again, soul was not just, communication specialist, but it was this thing about seeking growth. You seek growth for your clients. You seek growth for your organization. You seek growth for your team. What kind of team are you building? I just read a fantastic quote yesterday, that a teacher is not known by what he knows, but by what the student knows. So growth for yourself, for your family. So continuous growth has been a mantra for me, which helped me in the organization. And I think as my hair became grayer, and we tried to, practical wisdom was another thing that I tried, because as you said, as marketing people, it's very easy to drown in jargon and make things complicated. So a lot of times I felt things went through easily, even because you asked about clients, that you take to them some marketing wisdom, but take it in a way that can be practically applied to their brands, and that will potentially show growth. So that's where I guess the trick is.
Thanks for that, Mythili.
So maybe we'll take one or two questions on YouTube before we move back to the speakers. I also request Kamala from CAMS, if you're there, please say hello so that we can bring you onto the screen, because otherwise, due to security reasons, we mute and video because of security reasons. Okay. Now, here's a question from a YouTube viewer, Fatima from Pondicherry. So what she wants to know, how can you, as a woman, navigate this conundrum of develop a robust personal brand?
Robust personal
brand.
Yeah. So again, I mean, there are people, in fact, who help women who sit down with women one-on-one and coach you. So it's those principles which I put out. Discover your skill and talent, and everybody has the talent. Find your passion. Okay, find an area of work. First, develop it. If money comes, great. Find your area of passion. Chase the work. Find your balance. Find your tone of voice. Yeah. Think about what do you want to be known for, even within your friends, even in a friends group. You know, every friend brings something unique to the table. What do I, as a friend, bring to the table? What do I, as a member of this family, bring to the table? What do I bring to the lunch table as conversation? Think about what is your contribution in every aspect of your work life. Shape a tone of voice, and nowadays I think it's social media allows you to do that. You know, just by who you follow and what you like and what you share. Shape a personality in your social media. Let it not just be about your work. What was the fourth one? Get your support group and be consistent. All easier said than done, but it is doable. Billions of women are doing it, and so can you.
Yeah, group captain, if I may come in, I'm going to have I have a challenging question for. I mean, I think passion. We all know absolutely great if you can find that passion, but I'm sure with having spoken to a lot of people and having experienced it myself, typically for many people, it's not one thing that you're passionate about. I saw an undertone of experimentation in the talk that you gave. So I think I wanted to also highlight that, sometimes you won't figure your passion unless you experiment sufficiently enough.
Change over the years as well.
Yeah, and it also changes. So it's really important probably to, and in today's world, especially for the next generation, most of them are probably going to live on to 100 and probably going to work for 80 years, not the luxury of working for 30 or 40 years that our generation probably got away with. So there is a lot of time out there to figure out. So I would add that experimentation is as important as probably figuring out.
But, since I'm drawing from the world of brands, I would also advocate pushing for one. You can have 5 passions, feel free to chase all of them. But I think it's a good idea to be known for one thing or two maximum. Maybe one is something professional and one is something a little more thing. But you see, all all leading professionals chase all your interests, chase all your. You may be a passionate cycler, you may be a passionate rangoli. So yeah, you can have many interests, you can chase many passions. But I think also be known for one thing.
Okay. Great. So here is a question. I think before that, we have over 1,050 viewers watching this program, and those who are in chat box, if you have any question, please do share your question. The speaker will be more than happy to respond to your question. Here's a question from Radhika from Bangalore. She says, we had Bernie Sanders going viral a few months ago, and brands like IKEA getting into the game, promoting their products amidst the chaos. Though this viral marketing proves to be effective, is it advisable for brand to engage in such acts?
It's a very broad question, and so you can, again, it depends on depends on the category, the life stage of the category, the life stage of the brand, what the brand already stands for. Some brands, there are two things that are going on. Sometimes today consumers demand that the brand should have a point of view on some big conflict that's going out there in society. So yeah, you also can't keep quiet. what is your, ideally, if you can do it in a way that is related to your category and to your brand and to the rest of your brand world, then it's better. Because also remember that brands have limited money. So you have to think about, by engaging in this conflict, one is you set aside some investment, just as every brand is today a citizen and a brand is a part of society. So you must speak up and have a point of view. And you must do that. End of the day, the brand custodians will also ask, how is this going to help my brand? Just make sure that it doesn't harm your brand. Doesn't matter if it doesn't help, but if you can contribute to a societal conversation and it doesn't harm your brand, then you should go ahead.
Shivkumar, D. Shivkumar, you are there. I would like to say hello and join in. Otherwise, maybe Ravichandran would like to ask your question before I move to the next question from the social media.
Yeah.
Invite-
Mr. Shivkumar is there. I'd like him to ask the question or make the comment.
Yeah, say something. Hi, Shiv. Hello, Shiv.
Shiva is it Shiv of our Madhya Abdullah group? Can you check Sundar? Meanwhile,
Sir, no, it's not Shiv Kumar, sir.
okay, fine. Thank you. It's some other Shiv. Okay, so misleading. Otherwise, you would have joined in. Mr. Ravi would like to.
Hi,
Yeah.
Group Captain, can you hear
Yes,
me?
Kamala, please come on. Go ahead. Kamala
Yeah,
from
good
camp.
evening to all of you. And Mythili, that was amazing, reminiscing. You actually brought a very warm, fuzzy feeling to me, reminiscing those great brands which were built with very powerful communication. My question to you was, we had the luxury of print and TV.
Yeah.
Right? And to hold the consumer's attention for that slightly, extra few seconds, and they would pause and listen and see.
Yeah.
But communication has been turned on its head completely.
Yeah.
And today communication is in between when I'm doing something else, and actually has become more and more of a, I swipe through it and want to pay attention to what I was originally doing.
Yeah.
Brands are struggling, I think, to get attention.
Yeah.
Now, at this time, I'm also saying that experience is being given more importance by a brand rather than powerful communication.
Yeah.
I do not know whether you think it's going the same way. You are, of course, the expert there. And do you think this is happening? And what would be your guidance, advice when we are all struggling as marketeers and still have this passion for using communication to talk to consumers?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not only about communication. So again, in shaping the brand experience, that thing which I talked about of tone of voice and consistency, right from its durables and electronics, and where are your shops, how many shops, what does your shop look like, how have you trained your salespeople? Actually, that the whole experience also needs to be built around that predominant brand promise. This is how the brand speaks. So whether it is the product information or the dress code or how you're supposed to communicate or how you're supposed to follow up, it's much more difficult because it's not one communication controlled behind the scenes, but in many cases, it's a whole lot of other. You take healthcare. I mean, you take a hospital. Every doctor, every nurse, every watchman, every sweeper there has to really understand what that hospital is providing and behave in a certain way. And more and more service brands are coming to the forefront rather than the inanimate product brands of the past, whether it's delivery or everything, banks. So, I mean, for quite some time, the employee as a brand and shaping experiences is an increasingly important, if not more important than communication going forward. Who is communicating is the point. Is it just a pre-created ad, or is it that the face of your company that's communicating?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think you said it. Yeah. Communication is going beyond what you said in a print ad or a TV ad or in any type of ad.
Yeah.
But it's lived through the person who perhaps delivers it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think there are some questions in chat.
Yes, please go ahead, madam. There's only one question. One from Namakkal is our embassy. Then another one is from Tilruddin. You would like to take that question?
Yeah. So there's one question on fashion and fashion objectifying women. So it depends. I think some fashion brands have also put some soul into their idea. Many fashion brands have. But yes, there is as I already said, there is a large amount of communication which is still objectifying, and as an industry, we have a long way to go. And it is a symbiotic relationship. There are still a set of consumers who maybe want to see good-looking people wearing good clothes, having perfect faces. As that decreases, and as people start putting more value on real, communication will change. And as communication starts putting more value on the real, people will accept. So it has to happen. And I hope it will happen fast. What's the other question? I'm not able to see it. Do I go?
Mr. Ganeshan from Namakkal, he wants to know that the brand in places like Namakkal and all is known by the name of the owner of the shop and names as the brand detail.
Yeah.
So can you suggest how to plan a district level branding of our services?
Yeah.
How to take it to broader?
Principles are the same. Yeah. What is your brand? Who are you and where are you? And there is this whole thing about this concept called local area marketing, actually, So, I mean, you can be the Panwala down the road has probably built a very good brand, and to combine it with the previous question, his face, the conversation he has with you, how he helps you out in an emergency. Each one of us are brands, and whether it is district level, rural level, town level, global level, the principles are the same. Do you have a good product? Have you told people about your product? Have you added values to the way you sell and how you come across to your customers? That's what I would say.
Question from Mr. Chandru from Chennai, YouTube, madam. He says a brand will always have tangible elements like brand name, logo, colors, and fonts, your brand design, etc. What are the tangible elements of your personal brand?
Same thing. It's how you dress, how you talk, how you stand, how you walk, everything. It's the outer manifestation. It's like our homes, no? What are our homes like? For a cook, it's in a restaurant, it is how is the table set? How do you dress up the food? So for a personal brand, tangible is one is how you present yourself, and also your work is a tangible output. If you're a lawyer and you have worked on a case, or this recent episode of this fantastic woman bus driver, the truck driver woman, the way she drives her truck, the way she speaks, everything is tangible. Your work output is tangible and out there for the world to see. Your garden, the flower pot, I mean, everything is whatever aspect of your work that can be seen by people is a tangible output.
Here is the question from Rajeshri from Coimbatore again. a brand needs to be clear about the functional and the emotional benefits it delivers to its customers.
Yes.
When it comes to your personal brand, what are the hard and soft skills that you bring it to tables?
It's different for each one. Yeah, it's so like soft skills, I would say your approach to work, how you let your passion show. Hard skills, as I said, is the tangible thing. It's how good a truck driver are you? How good a lawyer are you? How good a restaurant are you? How good a service provider are you? That's the tangible aspect. The intangible aspects is your personality, how firm you are in what you ask for, in how firm you are in how you combat people who are attacking you. All that, I mean, your tone of voice and
Thank you, madam. Here's a question. I think we got a few more minutes. I'll try and squeeze in as many questions as possible. There's so many questions that come on the social media. Here's a question from Mr. Ramalingam from Trichy. What are some ways that we can incorporate more women and ideas from women into a branding strategy? What should the organization be doing this? What are some ways that we can incorporate more women and ideas from women into a branding strategy?
employ them in your brand management effort.
Great.
Automatically it will come. And there's one more question here. How do you select the human truth and tone of voice? Yeah, good question. So as I said, you have to first get your product truth. Yeah. So are you about white teeth, or are you about fresh breath, or are you about germ control? What are you about, you know? If you look at soaps, are you a beauty soap? What does your soap have that makes you a beauty soap, or a medical soap, or a clear skin soap, or a freshness soap, or a fragrance soap? First, that truth. Then you have to find something that is happening in the world of your target audience, whether it's men, women, children, teenagers, something that is happening in their world that is important to them, that can connect to your product in some way, that can connect to your product, why it is used, how it is used, when it is used, the occasion or the user. You have to do that research and find that truth. And then you have to see whether the client and the brand team are willing to commit to that truth. And most important, whether that connection will bring you growth. Will it persuade more people to try your product? So when it's a new product, or when you're refreshing your brand, this is a big endeavor. It takes 6 to 9 months to find that one thing to connect it to, and then arrive at it, and then it takes years to build. Thank you.
I think one of the Tanishri also want to know, Vidya, can you recommend some excellent books on brand management? You joined MMA, attend our library, you got lovely books on brand management.
Yeah. There's a whole world out there.
Then there is also a question from Krishnan. Would you like to take on that question, madam? It's come in the chat box. You want me to read that question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. How to get our management to listen to invest in research, offline and online, as I strongly feel it properly done. Research can deliver us a plate full of interesting information, observations, perspectives from the entire ecosystem. Unfortunately, the management is not able to understand, or I am not able to convince.
I'll tell you.
Could you please help?
Information is not enough. You have to turn that information into actionable wisdom, actionable plans. Because I found this, ABC. These are the 3 things you could do which will lead to growth. No client will refuse to listen.
I totally second that. In fact, one of my first learning was I was starting a market research project, and this person told me, what will you do with it once you have this information? And until you're clear about what are you going to do with it, don't even bother to do the research.
Actually, you should be clear about it before you start the research.
Right.
That's the question. What am I looking for, and what am I going to do with the answer?
Yeah, the insights are more important, and the actions out of the insights are probably one definitely way to convince your management about it.
Perhaps I can add here to the person who asked this question. You don't have to get frustrated. What you could do is, when you observe the amount of information that is coming into your table or into your company's table, you could take, as ma'am said, you could take just 3 or 4 of them, convert that into an actionable point, and present it to your manager. So you are actually doing them a service by, without spending money on research, you're opening their eyes on how you can actually go for information in a very organized manner and convert that into strategies that will benefit the company. 1 or 2 instances you can do yourself with the information that's coming to your table. That could be the way to start for you.
Thank you, sir.
You can find, your research can find out what's the problem. Solution we can still figure out after the research is over.
We got some questions from the MBA students, madam. There are 2 questions which I would like to share with you. What are the top 3 qualities in your opinion make a great marketer? And also another question is, with the pandemic around, how do we recapture the joy of shopping while shopping online?
I think that's a separate, another evening. Really, I'm not sure I am equipped enough to answer that fully right now. So I want to take that shopping question. It's complex and it's still evolving. Sorry, what was the first part? Traits of a marketer.
Yes.
Okay. You have to be passionate about your product. You have to be passionate about your consumer. And you have to be passionate about growth.
Can I add a point?
Live for that. And
can I add a point here?
And you have to also think just once. You also have to have a slightly larger perspective of what is your product and brand and your organization's role in society, and to the larger life. What are you really trying to do? Always keep that perspective.
A great marketer is actually an innovator. And innovation is actually something that the customer does not know yet that he or she wants, but you present it to her and they grab it. A great marketer is similar to an innovator. He latches on to something that the customer will want, but yet does not know. I think that is where a great marketer really scores.
Thank you, sir. Here's a question from Mr. Sriram from Nagpur. He says, we engage with multiple advertisements every day and with IPL around hundreds of ads every single day, but all these ads are very strange. They don't seem to be reflecting the current scenario. Do you think the advertisements should be made reflecting the current scenario to connect better with the audience?
Actually, some of them do. In fact, I had written an article last year where I analyzed all the post-COVID ads and found 4 or 5 big themes. So yes, many brands choose to ignore what's going on, but there are some brands like, firstly, if your product has done something new. So don't remember the exact 4 trends, but one was a lot of brands, if they can contribute to your safety and your health, a lot of brands talk about that. Then many brands talked about, many brands tapped into how ideas of space, your home, your work life, how ideas of time and how ideas of connections are changing. So there were some things that were emerging, but you're right. Many brands don't have a response and they are carrying on as if nothing has happened, because some parts of our life are carrying on. We are still washing clothes. We are still, but maybe somebody has put an extra sanitizer in it if you can, like that. So it's to each his own.
Thank you, madam. With the permission of Mr. Balraman, one last question for the evening before I request Balraman for his closing comments. Here's the question again from Vadivelu from Trichy again. How can my company create better working environments so that women are encouraged to develop and grow your businesses successfully?
Which company is this?
And so that women are encouraged to develop and grow your businesses, that is his businesses successfully. And so the most importantly, you don't lose top talent, invaluable experience and expertise. You wonder how can you encourage
what
women
company
to stay?
is it? What company was this?
Company is not mentioned. He says it looks like Trichy means
Okay, any company, is it?
SMEs could be.
So what was it? How can we keep?
How can my company create better working environment so that women are encouraged to develop and grow our business successfully?
I'll take a very unrelated example. Okay, so please don't take this literally. Long back, I had read somewhere that when you looked into why the girl child in remote rural areas is not going to school, it was because sanitation facilities were not available in the school. So that's not related necessarily to an SME or today's office environment. But really, we have to think professionally, what can we do for women? And in the area of making a woman's personal life comfortable in the work environment, what can we do to retain them? Yeah. So I think again, it depends on life stage. Younger women, unmarried women, married women, women with children, at every life stage, women have some additional needs of support. Yeah. So if you can track that, and if you can see whether it is flexible hours or whether it is work from home or whether it is leave and come back, that is one. And then, of course, all the regular things of training and monetarily, whether you're paying the same, things like that.
Thank you, madam. Now may I request Mr. Balraman?
Professional, financial, as well as soft skills and physical support, and maybe even counseling and emotional support, mentorship, link them up to other women who have perhaps struck better balances.
Thank you, madam. I think we have come to the end of the session.
You.
Now,
Thank you very
before we
much
get the feedback and other, yes, I'll request Mr. Balraman for his closing remarks, sir. Mr. Balraman.
Yeah, well, it has been a very full evening, covering a very, very vast area of subjects. We started with understanding branding and women, and Mythili and Ravi and Kannan and Kamala, thank you for adding this value. We have a lot more to do, and we'll keep doing it as days go by. There will be more sessions. The important area where I think we need to look at what we can do. We have made a beginning with Ms. Mythili. How can we continue with that? Because obviously she's an excellent resource. And she too has a similar passion like MMA of encouraging Indian women to come out into the open and contribute more to nation building. And that's not an easy thing to do. Ms. Mythili is the second person to point out that we in India are not exactly very friendly to women when it comes to for them, helping them come out. Another lady that we spoke to said, for example, if she has to go to Ahmednagar from Bombay, which is a 6-hour drive, she says that if she comes out of Bombay, her colleagues can stop on the road in between for a loo break. And she has to wait till she reaches Ahmednagar. Now, that is not a very good situation, is that? If 50% of our population is women, are we really being sensitive to their personal comfort? We have a lot to do. In fact, we need to make Indian men sensitive to women's requirements. We have a long way to go, and we have made a beginning, and it has taken us a little time to get started. I don't know how much of your time will be available, Ms. Mythili, for reaching out to Indian women through MMA Women Business Forum. I don't know whether Ravi and Kannan and Kamala also would like to chip in and help us. If you would like to, we can use you. India needs its women. India needs to be sensitive to its women. India needs to understand that its women can contribute, but we need to be sensitive to their requirements, and we need to do this. So we have a long way to go. I want to warmly thank you for all the trouble you have taken.
Thank you very much.
The enormous depth of information, skills. I have known you for a long time, and I'm so happy to see that all of it came out. And Ravi, thank you again. I gave you a very short notice, and Kannan, for you also.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for inviting me, Mr.
Wishing you all good
Yeah.
health and safety.
No, I think the perspectives brought today by Ms. Mythili was fantastic. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kannan, you want to say
Thank
something?
you.
No, again, as I said, I think a very complex topic, very beautifully covered and put very simply. And I agree with you, Mr. Balram, that I think this journey for women, as much as it's about facilitating things and encouraging women too, I think there's a lot of education and change required at the men's side as well to make that happen on the ground. So happy to be of any help.
Thank you.
Contribution.
It
It'll be a
is
great
long
learning
haul. In fact, I may
journey.
have oversimplified it, but there is a lot to be done. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Balraman. As a token of our appreciation, we would like to present this is what we do, because the distance, the COVID has separated us. Maybe when you come next time to Chennai, you must visit our management
Thank you.
center.
No, this-
And on behalf of Mr. Balraman, the president and members of Madras Management Association, we'd like to present the 300 face masks. Our team go around and present this mask, and
Thank you.
this is one of the way we thought we'll support the cause, the people, till the vaccine really covers everybody. Thanks once again to Kamala for joining us, Mr. Ravichandran, and also Mr. Kannan. Indeed, a pleasure to have you with us at a short notice, and we look forward to, we'll take your offer, we'll continue to engage with you and see that what best could be done, and maybe some workshops and certificate courses. All this could be done possible, Mythili Madam. And thanks, our 1,000+ viewers have joined us even the program. All those who have joined on Zoom, thanks so much. I'm quite sure you would have really become more wiser on the subject, which you have listened to one of the outstanding talks by Mythili Chandrasekar. Thanks so much. Stay safe, stay healthy. Anything else, sir? Bye-bye, madam. Good night till we meet again.
Thank you.
And,
Stay safe, everybody here.
Thank you, Mr. Kannan.